just enjoyed it a lot more and embraced failures. Vanessa would not change her profession because she is happy with her chosen profession. Here's Vanessa.
Good evening, Toastmasters and most welcome guests. My name is Vanessa. Today I'm going to be speaking about solitude and embracing solitude. It is in our nature to reject solitude. We are wired to crave a community. So when we find ourselves in those times of solitude, it can be quite distressing. I often found myself in that path of solitude. Growing up, my family was in a military family, and my parents were both first generation immigrants from Mexico. My dad, well, he had some familiarity with the American culture. My mom struggled quite a bit. She didn't know English. It was a very hard time for her being away from family as well. See, there's a thing in immigration called chain migration. That's when multiple families move to a country together to stick with that familiarity. My mom did not have that. So I feel that she had a lot of anxiety, and it probably passed through to me somehow. When we moved the first time, I didn't know what to expect. I realized after we moved, oh, I won't see my friends anymore. I have different teachers, new school, new neighborhood. That wasn't fun. The second time we moved, I knew what was gonna happen, so I protested. I cried before and after the move. I was telling my parents, no, I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna be in a military family. And they said, well, you have no choice. Okay. And they said, maybe when you're 15, your dad will retire. When he retires, you won't have to move anymore. Okay. And so I looked forward to the day I would turn 15. As that age was coming up, I realized the day may never come when my dad retires. My dad, he kept getting promoted over and over and over again. He ended up being Master Chief. So he did a full 30 years. I had to accept my reality. Okay, move every 3 to 4 years. Got it. When I was 16, I had a particularly hard time. We moved 3 times in 1 year. I started high school knowing I would only be at that school for 3 months. It was a very distressing time. I showed up to school every day, hopeless, and my mission was to not get attached to people. Every day, I saw these people, my teachers, knowing I would leave it again. It was very hard. I just didn't want to get heartbroken again. So when I moved again after those 3 months, I ended up in Nowhere, Texas. It's not really called that, but I call it that. Because it's 3 hours from Dallas, 2 hours from Houston, two hours from Shreveport, Louisiana. I remember the drive there, and I saw the post office. It was so run down. I was disappointed. I was like, I can't believe this is my life. It just was horrendous. My parents must have seen me in this time and noticed I was quite distressed. They forced me to go outside walking with them. I was like, okay, fine, I'll go walking. And my parents, they made me go walking with them every day. Eventually, I started running. Ironically, running slowed things down for me. That's when I noticed the evergreen pine trees. I was like, oh, that's not in California. I noticed the neighbors tending after their garden in this small south town. I noticed the way the neighborhood smelled after it rained. And then soon enough, I started listening to the Beatles, Dion and the Belmonts, and other 60s music, and I felt like I was in a movie. Even though I was alone, I was having so much fun. It was quite fun being in my head for some reason. And that's when I realized that's the key. That's the key to embracing solitude, is to be present. Notice the things about that town you hate. Because one day, it just won't be there anymore. I was in Lufkin, Texas for 3 years. I went into it hating it, absolutely hating it. I'm used to living in a city. This was a small town. I went into it hating it, but that moment is now gone. It's behind me. It's been a decade since I left. But I still remember the way it smelled after it rained. I remember the trees, and I miss it, even living here in beautiful Santa Monica. So I urge all of you to notice what's in your present. What can you find in that quiet solitude in your mind? Because some of those moments when you're alone could be the moments that mean the most to you. Thank you.